Okay. Hello and welcome to podcast. My name is Cassie. I'm your host, and I'm thrilled that you're here because I want to help you get out of your own way. So many people come to me and ask about how to break negative patterns. It's a question that I have actually gotten many, many, many times, especially as a health coach. A lot of people are like, I really know what to do, but how come I cannot do it? And that's what we're talking about today. So, the intention of this episode is to help you break through negative cycles of self sabotage. We don't want to be self sabotagers in this club. We want to be the people that really show ourselves and other people what is possible in this life. And we can't be doing that if we're constantly self sabotaging. The mantra of this episode, love this as always. Every day, I am creating positive ripple effects in my own life. Let that sink in, and I'll say it one more time. Every day, I am creating positive ripple effects in my own life. The reason I wanted to create that as the mantra for today is because oftentimes when we think about ripple effects of change and positivity, we think about how much we affect other people, which is beautiful. And I think that's a really great motivation to get out of our own way, to help ourselves, because it will help other people ultimately. It creates a ripple effect outward for sure. But I feel like we don't really think about the positive ripple effects that we can create for ourselves. I like to think in terms of our future self, our past self, ourselves of today, ourselves of tomorrow. I've mentioned on this podcast before that I really love to change and I love to wake up every day knowing I'm a different person because of everything that happened that day and how I basically receive that information, receive everything that's going on in life, and then learn from that and move forward, hopefully in a better way. Not saying every day I wake up and I'm just like a better person by 50% or 5%. Sometimes it feels like a negative percent. Sometimes this is not the case because hello, we're human. But the goal is to be 1% better every single day in just in little ways, right? So maybe you can write down that mantra every day. I am creating positive ripple effects in my own life because we do want to show up for our future selves today. And that's basically what I'll be talking about today. We cannot grow and expand if we are living in the past. And if we are constantly getting in our own way and we're in these cycles where we feel like we can't escape and I want to go to the gym so bad, but I just can't get there. I really want to eat well, but my cravings are so intense. We have to understand how our minds work a little bit more before we just shoot off and try to go to the gym for 7 hours a week or whatever it is. We need to be real with ourselves and understand that we are in a pattern and we have been conditioned to be a certain way for years and years and years. Again, especially with weight loss and things like that, if you've been eating for a certain way for so long, if you've been stressed out for so long, if you've been in a pattern of negative thinking about yourself, all of these things play a role in creating our best future selves. So we have to be aware of that. Always, always number one is awareness. But when we are dwelling on the solution instead of the problem, we will go farther. We will get ourselves out of this if that is our focus, because where our focus goes, our energy flows. If we're focused on how we messed up in the past and what we wish we did better and how we wish that 10 years ago I changed this, well, what are you doing? You're still pulling yourself back in the past, back in the past, back in the past. And so your energy is going there. So energetically, it's going to be a lot harder to escape that realm that you've been in if you constantly keep focusing your mindset on what went wrong in the past. So that's the very first thing we do is, like I said, be aware. Like you got to open up the awareness to understand that you are in patterns. And by bringing your awareness to the past constantly, if that's where our attention is going, to the past, to the past, to the past, that's where our energy is going to go. And that's how we are going to act moving forward. Most likely because we are basically just telling ourselves energetically that's where we want to be, even if that's not the case. So our subconscious mind really does rule our lives. And I don't know, it's like anywhere from like 75 to 90% of our thoughts are recycled thoughts from the day before. So we have to, again, recognize this, have an awareness. When we can recognize these things, we can change them. We can't just pretend like we can snap our fingers and just become someone new the next day, completely changing everything. That's not totally realistic, although it can happen. We really want to, that you're not listening to this if it can happen for you, right? If you've been stepping in your own way constantly, you want to find out ways to break that pattern. And so every thought and action, like knowing that every thought and action that we have right now in this moment creates effects that ripple out into our future. So what kind of creations, what kind of effects are you creating when you are thinking what you're thinking? So you have to be aware of what you're thinking in order to understand if it's something that is bringing you to a really positive place in the future, or somewhere in the future where you're going to be kicking yourself because, oh, I wish I did this sooner. I wish I was able to change sooner. So your thoughts will rule your actions. If you think that you cannot do something, then you won't. What is that quote? Believe that you will, believe that you won't, you're right. Or believe something like that, right? It's like whatever we believe is what our reality is that's going to be created right in front of our eyes. If we believe that we are unable, if we believe and that's the thing, is maybe you don't even know what your beliefs are, but when you listen to your thoughts, that's how you can understand your deeper beliefs. So if you constantly are telling yourself, I can't do that. Okay, why are you thinking to yourself that you can't do that? If you're constantly thinking to yourself, I will love myself when, okay, why are you thinking that? Why are you pushing self-love or worthiness away? That's not something that your future self, I'm going to get into this about your future self, would appreciate you doing, or would be like if your future self is someone that you really want to be, that's a positive influence in your own life. You want to be a positive influence in your own life, right? You want to be your own best friend. You want to treat yourself with kindness. Now, I think when we focus on our future self in that way, it can really create positive ripple effects. Like I said in the mantra, right? We want to create those positive ripple effects. But first, this is something that I really recommend you do in order to break it down a little bit. I really think writing some things down is going to be helpful if you find yourself constantly stepping in your own way and not able to break through that barrier of those negative cycles. So write down who your ideal self is. So who do you feel the best version of you is? Who do you feel that queen version of you is? Who do you feel your highest self is? Like, who is that? Who is that ideal self? Write down the qualities of this person. Write down the habits of this person. Write down the thoughts of this person. Write down the feelings of this person, the emotions, what this person eats and drinks, what this person believes, this person's attitude. Okay, you can almost think about yourself in the third person in order to separate yourself from the emotions you are feeling now. So you can almost just create this caricature of someone who you would look up to, who would be a role model, and that person is you. And after you write all of this down, I want you to recognize the fact that you are this person that you want to be, that you have written all these things out about. You already are this person. This is really powerful because this is a little bit of a quantum leap we can take. Meaning we can crunch time down, and instead of waiting 3 years to be this person that you idealize and like would really want to become, you can become this person right now. You can become this person right now. All you have to do is meet your best self in this moment. That's all you have to do. I mean, that's really the ticket here. Mic drop, I'm done. But what I'm saying is you don't have to wait to feel worthy of being your best self until you do X, Y, or Z. It's amazing to have these goals of reaching certain a weight of looking a certain way. But again, these are things that are so shallow and honestly don't matter. And if we really go deep into this, and if you're really developing yourself, if you're really looking to develop yourself spiritually and just like the whole personal development thing, if you want to be your best self, then it's important to understand that you don't have to wait for this to do something to make yourself be that person. You can merge with this person right now. It's just a matter of believing it. And it's a matter of understanding what to do when the resistance comes. And that's probably why you're listening to this, because I'm sure if you have had goals or if you have wanted to eat better or whatever, and you can't seem to do it, there's probably resistance within you that comes up, and then you fall victim to it, and then you're back in that cycle again. So when there's resistance, this is really important. We need to understand what to do. So we can never expect ourselves to just jump into something without resistance that's so new, that is so different for our ego and for our bodies and for our minds and for our nervous system. We have to understand that when resistance comes, we know it's part of the journey. So expect resistance when you are creating goals. This is one way to break the negative patterns within yourself, is to understand that by wanting to change yourself, okay, great, but I know there will be some resistance when push comes to shove, because we all get so motivated that night we're eating all that crap food and we're like, I'm so excited to eat better tomorrow and for the week coming and for however long, for the rest of my life. And then somehow day 1 comes around, maybe day 2, maybe day 3, maybe day 8, who knows? And it's like, I really think my body needs some pizza right now. and there's some resistance with creating those new habits, because we have been a part of an old pattern, an old program, an old cycle for so long that we need to recognize it and send it off with love. Send off those old cycles with love. Thank you, sayonara, bye-bye, don't want to see you again. So when there's resistance coming through, know that your ego is trying to keep you safe because it wants you to stay the same. So like, think about this. When I was writing this down, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Safe and same are very similar words, right? There's only one little letter that's different. Safe and same. Your ego doesn't know the difference. It can't see that F, it can't see that M between the safe and the same. Your ego thinks that by keeping you the same, you are staying safe. It's kind of equating those two together. So again, when we can understand that and be aware that our ego is always searching to keep us the same, meaning if you want to go to the gym, your ego's like, nah, there's a lot of people there. Maybe I can do a workout at home, and then never do it, and then you just don't show up, and whatever it is. It's your ego trying to keep you the same. It doesn't want you to change. And that doesn't mean we should shun the ego or tell the ego to F off because I need to be more soul oriented. I've talked about this before with our ego. It can really get in the way of creating change because it resists discomfort, and it's uncomfortable to start something new, whether we feel that consciously or not. Our ego wants to keep us safe. So that is a beautiful thing, that our ego wants to keep us safe. So don't, be mad at that. Just understand that the ego is a part of yourself that you need to nurture and help feel safe as we move through this journey of doing new things, healthier lifestyles. Meditating and breath work and inner child work can really, really help with embodying the feeling of safety so that the resistance can soften and so that the ego can soften, so that we can embrace the ego by saying, listen, almost like our inner child, our ego is almost the same as our inner child. And we have to say, like, I understand that you are scared of change and keeping me, you want to keep me protected, you want to keep me the same, but I have to go through this discomfort right now, and it's not going to be uncomfortable for too long, and we'll get through this. Like, you have to befriend yourself, all parts of yourself, in order to get through this journey with some grace and some patience. So our nervous system too is also adjusting. And a lot of times when we like start a brand new like diet or something that's totally new, like new exercise, I feel like a lot of my examples are health and wellness related, as always, because I am a health coach. So just bear with me on that. But I feel like it relates to a lot of people because we all go through cycles where we're showing up for ourselves and when we're not. But basically, our nervous systems, when we've been like, say, a couch potato for 2 years, your nervous system is going to be shocked when you try to work out for however many days a week or however much movement you're trying to do. We have to understand there's a deeper strength that we can harness when we are working out, which is our nervous system strength. And that's why I think it's really important to really breathe through your workouts, to do even some deep breathing right before you work out, because that will actually give you more strength. That will actually give you more strength. And I'm obviously not talking about the muscle strength, but it's the nervous system strength that actually will help us. For example, like today I was doing side planking with one leg up in the air. That is more of a nervous system strength, because it's not necessarily like my muscles have to be as strong. I know I can, some days I do it like the day after I like drank a bunch or don't eat well and I'm stressed. Like, it's harder to hold that because my nervous system is not in a great place. So understand that your nervous system will take time to adjust to your new patterning. When we've been in such a very comfortable state for a long time, eating chips on the couch, your nervous system needs time to adjust. So breathe, breathe, breathe. Even if it's just breathing in for 2 counts, breathing out for 4 counts, and doing that for 2 minutes. Just breathing in the nose, breathing out through the mouth. In 2, out 4. And that actually calms your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system, which literally helps regulate our stress and the way we're feeling and even our body's strength. Alrighty, and then our brains as well. They're basically computers. I'm talking about these programs that are within us that we're trying to break. And our brains are basically computer programs. And we are programmed to be a certain way. And this has been the case for years and years and years, most likely. And oftentimes, the way that our brains are programmed, sometimes it gets a little skewed. A program gets in there and it's kind of skewed because it was a coping mechanism we had from when we were a kid, from when you had unmet needs, of your childhood, from a relationship, from anything that happened that was traumatic for you in big or small ways of the past. A lot of times our brains kind of adapt, but that adaptation sticks within us, which means that it might be causing more resistance from when we do want to change that pattern. So a lot of this is very, very much so mindset, but it's reworking those programs that, like, biochemically in our brains that have been in there and programmed in there for reasons to keep us safe, for whatever reasons of the past. A lot of these coping mechanisms become patterns. And so maybe that's something to journal on too, is ask yourself where this pattern has stemmed from. And you might not come up with a clear answer, but even just asking these questions might reveal things that you weren't aware of. And then you can clear that out more easily if it does come to surface. But you don't necessarily need to pull up all of your traumas in order to break a negative cycle. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes if there is something unconscious going on that has developed because of something that happened in the past, it's great to recognize that in order to adjust that in a way where we are not living our past anymore. Because like I said, we can't grow and expand if we're living in the past. If our thoughts and our programs are based on the past, that means that we are just constantly living in the past, which is not healthy. So yeah, like I said, meditating, breath work, inner child work, working with a coach too, a therapist, a counselor, can definitely help if you feel really, really, really stuck. That's something a lot of people say. A lot of clients say, I feel so stuck. I need to get out of this. And you're not stuck. You are like, I don't know, that word is, it's kind of like the word hard, where it's like you're up against a wall and it's so hard. Like choosing a word like, okay, this is difficult, but it's doable. Doable, but difficult rather than hard, right? It's all about the little wordings that the verbiage that we use in order to help reprogram our brains too. Because if we've constantly been telling ourselves this is way too hard, like the mental image that you probably get is just like a brick wall that you're up against, and that's really hard to break through. But if you think, okay, this is kind of difficult, this is challenging, but I am challenging myself to get through this. We want to be more empowering with the way that we talk to ourselves with the thoughts that come through. And when there are thoughts that come through, oftentimes it's going to be unconsciously. So try to catch them, try to be more aware. But when you do catch it, you can be like, whoa, okay, I need to just reframe that right away. This is challenging, but I can get through. Or you can say your mantra every day, I'm creating positive ripple effects in my own life. And just when you are feeling like you're at a standstill and stuck, open up your vision, your tunnel vision. So oftentimes we have tunnel vision of I need to do this and I need to do this a very certain way. There might be other ways. So for example, like going to the gym, if it's something that you really have a hard time doing, instead of going to the gym, why don't you commit to working out for 10 minutes a day for a week and see how that goes? Can you do that? Like we need to start at doable levels. Maybe if you're in a negative pattern, you're setting goals that are just like way too big and expansive for your ego, for your nervous system, for your mind to like swallow, to like chew on and swallow at first. And you can always build on these habits. Like this is something I always tell people is just commit to 10 minutes a day and then build from there. Because if we can't even show up for the workout, then what's the point of even planning? What's the point? Like you have to take that first step. So if you're having trouble taking that first step, this is exactly what I'm talking about. We need to be aware of the patterns that are already going on, be aware that we are constantly pulling ourselves in the past, and that we want to push ourselves into the future in really great, beautiful, graceful ways. And we can send ourselves to the future with all of the habits and things that we want to do by connecting with who we really want to be and who that person is. That's why I said it's so important to write down who your ideal self is, because that ideal self will show up for you, right? So if we don't even know who that ideal self is, it's really hard to show up for yourself. So you have to be clear with who you want to be. Be clear with who you want to be, because that is your roadmap. It's creating a roadmap for yourself. Our brains need a little bit of structure, a little bit of something to go off of. Instead of just hoping and dreaming and wishing, we want to kind of bring it down, ground it in, and make our goals a reality. We want to know what we want so we can stop doing what we don't want to do. And sometimes it works the opposite way for people. Like I need to stop doing these things in order to do these positive things. But I think a really powerful, impactful way to go about your goals is to really understand who that ideal self is of the future that you are stepping into. All of the details. What is she wearing? Who is she hanging out with? How is she spending her time? Again, like what are these qualities of this person? So you can meet that person halfway, which means you start taking on these qualities and these habits and feelings and emotions and attitudes of this person that you really want to be. And once you start taking that on, guess what? You're that person. Boom. And like I said, you are already this person regardless of what you're doing. But bringing this ideal self into your awareness, you can connect on a deeper level and start like really becoming this person and feeling that and showing yourself that through your actions. And of course, through your thoughts, which do create your actions. So I guess to sum it up, understand that there's going to be resistance when you want to change. There's always going to be resistance. It's kind of like expecting yourself to be motivated all the time. You're just not going to be motivated all the time. That's like living on another planet that's not planet Earth, where we're not humans, because there's resistance, there's things that happen that we don't expect. The past couple of years, like there's so much that can happen that is out of our control. And we just have to know that. We have to know that there's a lot of different elements, from our environment to what happened in the past. If we're staying in the past, if we're sticking with our past selves, then we're going to stick with those past thoughts, with those past patterns. So we have to break through by creating that ideal self, understanding that there is resistance from the ego, from the nervous system, from our brains, from all of this programming that we've been through. Open up your tunnel vision to see all the possibilities of how to get to where you want to go, and write it down. Be clear with yourself, with who you really want to be. The person that you want to be does not self-sabotage, that's for sure, right? The person you want to be in the future, that future self wants you of the now to show up for yourself now like you would in the future, like you're idealizing. So we can merge that together right now. You don't have to wait to feel motivated. In fact, you should never wait to feel motivated. Your action will create motivation. So work on motivating yourself. That's a skill set that it's like a muscle that is important to work on. Because if we've been working this other muscle of old programming, old patterning, that's very, very strong. And so what's weak when you start is your new patterning. It's the new muscles, so to say, of what you want to be, those new muscles that you want to strengthen. They're weak. So you have to know going into it, you're going to feel a little wonky. And that's totally normal, but you have to give yourself some grace and get through that period of discomfort, because on the other side of that is your new life that you want so badly, and that I know you can get for yourself. We all have different goals. We all have different things that we want to do, but in order to get there, we have to break old cycles, old patterns. And if they keep popping up, you have to keep going inward. Don't blame anyone else. Don't point the finger. Don't regret and hang out in the past with your old patterns. Let's move forward, create anew. Every day, I am creating positive ripple effects in my own life. So why don't you go out there, create those beautiful positive ripple effects for yourself, change your life, and then you will automatically be changing other people's lives, everyone who comes in contact with you. And that is my wish for you today and every day moving forward. Thank you so much for listening today. I truly appreciate you tuning in to understand more about how we can reset our minds and get our lives working for us rather than trying to fight against ourselves. We don't need to be falling victim to our old patterns anymore. You have the power to break free. And I hope that you believe that. Thank you so much. And if you feel called to share this episode with someone who might need it, feel free to text it to someone. I am recording live on YouTube as well, so feel free to check that out. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking, subscribing, all the beautiful things. I truly appreciate you. And until next time, I will catch you later. Bye-bye.